Hi guys, today I am in my kitchen. I'm actually making us some dinner Sunday evening after church, and I thought I would hop on really quickly and just share this really tasty recipe with you guys. So today I'm making hamburger soup, and I originally got this recipe from the Pioneer Woman, and I made it exactly the way she makes it the first time I made it, and then since then I've made all different variations of it. I've put ground turkey, ground chicken, and definitely ground beef in this recipe. So I'll try and link her original recipe below for you guys. But guys, this is a recipe that you can take and just whatever you have in your fridge, freezer, pantry, you guys can, if you think it'll taste good, you can kind of throw it in the soup. This is a pretty basic soup. There's nothing super fancy about it. There's really not a lot you can do to mess this recipe up. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm doing. I'm trying not to steam up the camera too much. But so the first thing that I am doing is I'm actually browning 2 whole pounds of ground beef, and this is grass-fed ground beef. I believe this is 85-15 or 80-20 that I got from Sprouts. So I'm browning this up, and all I did was so far I seasoned it with a little bit of this gourmet burger seasoning, and once this browns, I'm actually going to just add my onions and peppers in here. And I know a lot of people probably wouldn't necessarily do that unless they were cooking it all together, but unless you brown it to where it has a little bit of a kind of a crisp on it, it doesn't really develop a lot of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you the veggies that I'm going to add to the soup. All right, so far I have a medium red onion that I did get from Azure Standard. I have some celery, some organic celery that I did buy from Sprouts. This is about maybe 2 or 3 stalks, and then I got a pepper, maybe about a green pepper and a half. This is actually from the peppers that I got from Azure Standard in my last order. And these carrots are actually some of the carrots that I bought from Azure Standard. I've already peeled them, and they're kind of browning a little bit. I'll just rinse those off. I'm going to get these chopped up, and then I'm going to chop up some potatoes as well to go in the soup. But I'm going to go ahead and put the onions, the celery, and the green bell pepper into the pot. All right, so I have my onions, my celery, and my bell peppers in the pot. I'm going to go ahead and stir this and let this cook for a few minutes, just until these onions and peppers and the celery kind of have a little bit of a translucent color. And then I'll come back and I'll add the rest of my veggies and all of my other ingredients. All right, guys, now I have about 7 to 8 small to medium yellow potatoes, and these are the yellow potatoes that I did get from Azure Standard. They're not perfectly cut into exactly the same sizes. I do like when some of the potatoes kind of like break down in the soup, and it kind of gives the soup kind of a thicker creaminess without me having to put too much tomato sauce in it. Here are the carrots that I showed you guys before. I just cut these up, and I'm getting ready to throw these in the pot, and then I'll show you guys the next step. All right, guys, so now I have my potatoes and my carrots. They've been kind of cooking for just a little bit. I don't want to cook them all the way through. Just wanted to kind of let them kind of cook with the meat a little bit and get a little bit softer. But now I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my ingredients so that this soup can simmer and we can have it for dinner in a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to add is a can of these hatch chilies, and this is the chopped mild green chilies. I did get these from Sprouts. The next thing that I'm going to add is a 15-ounce can of organic tomato sauce, and this is just the Kirkland's brand. I'll probably add a little bit of water to the can to get the rest of that out in just a minute. But I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add some seasoning. So this is just some black pepper, some paprika. This is some oregano and some thyme. and a little bit of the Kirkland's organic seasoning. So I'm going to throw all that in there, and I may actually have to add some more seasoning later once I taste it. But for now, we're going to just put this in here. I'm going to give this a mix, and then I'm going to add my last ingredient before I cover this to let it simmer for about 45 minutes. All right, so the very last ingredient that I'm going to add into this soup is some organic bone broth, and this is the beef bone broth from Walmart. It is the Sam's Choice brand. You guys can use any bone broth you like. Sometimes I have some that I've made myself, but I don't have any of that today, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this entire carton of bone broth. As you can see, this covers just about the top of all of the potatoes, meat, and veggies that are in the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. I'm going to cover it, and then I'll be back to show you guys what it looks like once it's done. I'll test it to see if it needs more seasoning, and then I'll put it in a bowl and show you guys how we serve it. I do want to say one thing to you guys before I go about the potatoes. So I did use yellow potatoes in this recipe because that's what I had on hand. But if you're one of those people who don't really like your potatoes to break down in your soup, or if you're afraid that you might let the soup cook too long and the potatoes might get a little bit too soft, what you can do is go ahead and use red potatoes instead. Red potatoes are a little bit more firm, and they do tend to hold up in soups a lot better than the yellow potatoes or the russet potatoes. However, these potatoes I have used before in this soup, and I do leave the skin on them because it does help them kind of stay together. And man, are they delicious, because they really absorb all of the flavors in the soup, and it is so good once the soup is done and all the veggies are tender. So just wanted to give you guys that little side note. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this up, let this cook, and I'll be back in about 45 minutes to an hour to show you guys how we serve this up. All right, guys, this soup is done. It smells so good, and all of the veggies are nice and delicious and tender, and the potatoes have just absorbed all that delicious flavor that we put into it. So now the last two things I'm going to actually add to the pot are a 10-ounce bag of organic sweet peas. All right, so I've added the 10-ounce bag of frozen organic sweet peas. I don't really want these to necessarily boil and cook in here because they're actually going to get nice and tender enough just being in the hot soup. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just pour a few of these into each individual bowl just to kind of cool the soup down. But tonight I'm just going to go ahead and add them to the pot. And then the very last thing I'm going to add into the pot is some parsley. Add some parsley into the pot, and then I'm going to mix that all in. All right, guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and serve this up, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm going to prepare this so that we can go ahead and have dinner and watch a movie. All right, guys, this is the finished soup. I just top it with some Parmesan cheese and some raw garlic, simply because we're trying to get as much raw garlic in our diet as possible because there are so many health benefits to consuming garlic. It is a huge immune booster. It's antimicrobial, antiviral, and antibacterial. But I'll try and link a video or some information below for you guys to kind of get you started if you're interested in finding out more about the health benefits of garlic. But anyway, guys, that is it for this video. If you tried this recipe, let me know down in the comments. But I will see you guys in the next one.